Hey, Leroy, turn it on. Okay, Uncle Shady.
You're listening to BWWR, the Banger Worldwide Radio Network.
The John Lebang Show has been known to make people laugh, sing, think, scream, throw things in rage, and generally lose their minds. Listener discretion is advised.
Scheduled programming to bring you a show on the edge. Broadcasting worldwide and out to the greater universe, you're listening to the John Lebang Show.
Greetings, Earthlings, and alert the media. The John Lebang Show is back on the air. Thank you, my friends, for joining me for another 60 minutes of sonic vibrations. Before we get into anything entertaining, I'd just like to say, man, we're lucky to be here. Because DTE lost power for us again. The wind blew too hard or something went wrong. They don't have an answer, but the power went out once again. I mean, I don't even understand what the heck is going on with DTE. It's been like 6 times this year alone that our little neighborhood, I know we're not that important, but our little neighborhood has lost power. When the big ice storm came in, we lost power for like 4.5 days. People were getting it back way before us. Yesterday we got rain, like we've been getting constantly for weeks now. And the rain stops, no wind is blowing, nothing, and then, boom, power's out. They claim it was lightning, but there was no lightning going on at all at the time. Took them like 4 hours to get the power back on, which was incredible. I mean, what is wrong with DTE and their infrastructure in my neighborhood? You call them, and you either get the automated response, where's the outage, and you got to push all the buttons because they don't want to talk to you because they know their infrastructure sucks. And they don't want to have somebody, they don't want to pay somebody to sit there and take the abuse of people, because if we could get through, we would be going ballistic on these people. It's ridiculous. 6 times this year we've been out of power for a total of probably 10 or 12 days. Because no, maybe not that long. Maybe a total of, 7 days. I mean, one was 4.5. Then we've had power outages for like 4 hours and then 6 hours. The one time it was out, then it was on, then it was out, then it was on. Like if they're going to be doing something in your neighborhood, like changing lines or something, because they have to update their infrastructure, which I doubt they do, often anyways, then they could give us a courtesy call. I mean, they know all the phone numbers in the area. You have to give them your phone number to have an account. So send us a text. Hey, between this hour and that hour, you might want to unplug your crap so you don't blow up a computer or ruin your fridge, or be prepared because the power is going to be out for a little while because we got to do something. Of course, when the power comes back on, they don't tell you when that happens either. Well, they did this morning. After the power's been on for 7 or 8 hours, I finally get the call. Hey, your power's back on. No crap. The power's back on. Thank you very much for telling me. I didn't happen to notice that when all the lights turned on while I was sleeping in the middle of the night, because you got it on in the middle of the night. So then I got to walk around half zombified from sleep and walk around and turn off all the lights so I can actually go back to sleep. Because you forget which lights are on and which are off. I unplugged the computer every time because it was about 1.5 years ago when they did the power, because we lost power, 10 times last year. It's like a regular thing around this neighborhood. whatever infrastructure they've got, it's not very good. I'll just tell you that. So the power went out like a year and a half ago, whatever it was, and it like screwed up my computer. So I had to go get my computer fixed because it did it while Windows 10, another vicious, evil corporation getting into your, controlling your life again. It was updating at the time. So, you can't shut it down while it's updating, especially in an older computer, which I have. So that screwed it up. So they had to take all my memory out, put a new operating system in because it just wouldn't restart. It was like, nah, we're done. You disconnected while we were updating, and because you have an old computer, the hell with you. We just won't update anymore. I mean, Windows 10 itself is the devil. That's just my opinion. Not a fan of it. So you get that kind of thing. And then you try to call them and try to talk to somebody. And when you do get through to a person after whatever wait time there is, they don't want to help you on this. And, you guys blew up my computer. Sorry, sir. Just the hazards of things, act of God kind of thing, something out of their control. Okay. I mean, the time that in the ice storm, just what was that, a month ago? Little over a month ago, end of April. So it was a month ago, not even. The top of the pole ripped off. Just ripped off because the pole was so old. Even though I'd called them 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, maybe even 5 years ago, telling them their poles are really old and they're tilted and they're not looking very good and they should probably update their poles in our neighborhood. Well, it finally came to where we had an ice storm in the end of April. Unbelievably, if you think about that. We've only been out of winter for about a month, and we're almost into summer. There's like no spring anymore here in Michigan. The winter extends, and we know why it was a long winter. We talked about 3 years ago that the sun's activity is changing, and it's going to cause us to have a mini cold spell, maybe even get to an ice age, and I hope we don't go to that far. But, when you start getting ice storms in April, at the end of April, that is, when it should be 65, 70 degrees, you might start thinking that maybe the climate is heading the way you were hoping it wasn't going to head to. And some of the scientists might have actually gotten it right. Not the ones that are all into climate change and global warming and all that, but the scientists that told you that, well, the sun's activity is changing over the next few years, and they told us about 3 years ago. Not many people listened. And when I told people we might head toward a mini cold spell, if not an ice age, they poo-pooed it. Nah, didn't, nah. But so those people got it right. Because it was long winter. We had early snow. It was cold right from the get-go. Again, we're not having these fall changes like Michigan used to have. Of course, we could probably blame that on some of the geoengineering that is taking place here and there and all over the place. They don't want to admit it, but it's there. I just watched a video, it was 2-3 weeks ago, of this cloud machine NASA has, and it just spews out all this cloud from the ground, and then that cloud floats up high, and they just created a cloud out of nowhere. And so the fact that the pole, getting back to the DTE situation, the pole breaks, we were out of power here, which screwed up a whole lot of things. And we're at the mercy of these stupid corporations that don't have solid infrastructure in, yet they want to charge you, it's so expensive to run a house these days. Then, of course, we've got the construction. Can't go east-west in this area anymore. I mean, there's like 5 major roads that connects this side of town with down by the river in the Wyandotte area of Michigan. There's a little river there, Detroit River, and you can go down to Bishop Park and enjoy yourself, but you can't get down there because, eureka, there's construction. North Line, there's construction. I-75, construction. Goddard, there's construction. You can't go from the west side of the town, like, Romulus and Taylor and Southgate, without driving through construction just to get to Wyandotte. Small little old school town that has a beautiful little park, nice shops and everything. It's like the Downriver version of Royal Oak. So if you're a visitor and you've heard of Royal Oak and you want to come to the Detroit area and you don't want to go down to the expensive part of town, which is Royal Oak and all those areas, you can come down to Downriver to Wyandotte where you can enjoy, well, if you can get there. But it's a nice little homey old school town with a lot of nice little shops, beautiful park. Cool. A couple cool bars down there. Hey, there's a hospital right down there. Can't get to the hospital if there's an emergency because you can't go from the west side of town to the east side of town. I mean, everything's in shambles, and sure, they're trying to fix it, but they waited too long. I mean, this is awesome. They're paving right down by City Hall in my city here, putting in new asphalt and getting everything set up, and they use a good company. They use a good, well-renowned company to do the asphalt. I used to work in the road construction industry. Just a very short time, but I did work with good companies and the crappy companies. And they finally got one. When they did the front of my drive here, when they did my street right in front of me, they used the crappiest of all crap companies they could get. But when they're doing right in front of City Hall, heck, let's go ahead and use one of the two biggest companies in the area, the one that are trusted. They're going to do it right. And of course, when they do right up here, right in front of John's place, we're going to use the crappiest of crap companies. And now the road, 2 years in, the road's got a huge crack right down the middle of it. Yep. Right in front of my house on top of it, the driveway that they didn't put in, but when I complained they came in and half-assed put in, is now crumbling and decaying within 2 years. We've got to get ready for a break here, ladies and gentlemen. As you've noticed, we've changed up our programming, how we're going to commercial breaks and stuff, and how we're coming in. And we'll probably talk about that as the night goes on. This is the John Lebang Show Variety Hour, and we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere now.
John will be right back right after this.
Yes, he will. Check out the new book from Derek Shelmerdine,
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
It tells the story of rock and roll from its roots right up until the mid-'70s punk.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Not just the music, but also the events that shaped the music.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
It includes the backgrounds to recording sessions, singles, album releases, births and deaths, epic concerts, and festivals.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Shelmerdine has made a painstaking effort to document pretty much every event that would prove significant in shaping popular music.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Purchase the book at www.rockandrollunraveled.com. Follow him at Twitter at R&R Unraveled, and look him up on Facebook at Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
By author Derek Shelmerdine.
Available now.
You're listening to the John Lebang Show.
Join the radio revolution right here.
It's better than some good Thai stick, man. Yes, I would like some too. Is it done yet? No, we're about ready to turn it on. Leroy, put the TV on right now. Okay, Uncle Shady. Oh, I can't wait. Ditsie's there tonight. That doesn't mean she's going to be picked to be on. Oh, I hope she is. All right, keep it down now and stop.
Here it comes from the Banger Studios in Detroit, Michigan. It's the Big League Game Show. The Donald is right. Ditzy Snooper, come on down. Gordy Canuck, come on down. Illegal Martinez, come on down. your tonight's contestants on The Donald is Right. And now here's your host. It's the Donald.
Thank you. Let's get tonight's festivities started. Here's the first prize.
It's a trip to North Korea. You and the guests can stay at the luxurious Trump Palace in Pyongyang. Enjoy 7 nights of this hidden wonder. Take part in a basketball game, tour the slave labor camps, and visit their world-famous nuclear test sites. The trip includes a one-way flight and a free donkey rental. All this can be yours if your price is right.
You mean the Donald is right?
Oh, sorry, boss.
Whatever. Now that's a huge prize. Ditzy, you're looking sexy today. What's your bid?
Hi, Don. I'll pass. And thank you for the compliment.
Gordy, welcome to the show.
Oh, hello, eh?
So what's your bid?
I bid $800, eh?
Hopefully that's an American. $800 to the Canadian. Mr. Martinez, welcome to the show.
Oh, man, I'm happy to be here, man. Buenos dias.
Yeah, and bony tacos to you too. What's your bid?
Oh, I bid $1, man.
That's it? Just $1? That sound, ladies and gentlemen, means one of our contestants has hit the number exactly. That's so huge. Now let's find out who's the winner. Could I have the envelope, please? Thank you, Stormy. Oh, this is huge. The price is $1. Mr. Martinez, you're the winner.
What you mean I win with $1, man? I didn't want to win that.
That's how it goes. Here's your escort. Ice, take him away.
Oh, man, I want to stay, man. Por favor, man.
Thanks for coming, Mr. Martinez.
Hey, man, this is entrapment, man.
Enjoy your trip.
Hey, man, don't take my shoes, man. Annika, man, Annika.
See what happens when you make deals with countries? They get our Mexicans, we get their nukes. Now we're down to our final 2 contestants. And since she's got bigger boobs than you, I'm gonna fire you. She wins.
I'm a contestant, eh?
Well, I'm firing you as a contestant. Now get out of here before I deport your ass back to Canada.
This is a bogus show, eh?
Listen, I've had it with you. Ice, take him away. Throw him in the river and let him swim back to Canada. Ditzy, you're the big winner. And for winning, you get to have a job at the White House, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I never win anything.
You're a big league winner. That's it, ladies and gentlemen, for this huge show. Thank you for listening. See you next time. Come on, Ditzy. Let me grab you in your
At least your boobies are looking good. What just happened?
I think you just lost your girlfriend.
Oh, no, that's terrible.
Well, that's what happens when you don't have money. Doesn't matter how old the D is. As long as it's producing, the women like it.
What do you mean by the D?
That's probably another reason why you lost her.
Oh, I feel terrible.
Don't worry about it. Something else will come along, I'm sure.
You think so?
Either that or you can get a Camel. I need another beer.
You're listening to the John Lebang Show.
It's hydroponic radio for your brain, man. Feel smarter yet?
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in this fine evening. As we are in this variety hour, we do a little different stuff, and I wanted to talk about something that was interesting to me. Apparently, there's a movement to build a floating island that like 300 households will be on, and it'll just be this island floating out in the ocean there. And they're going to have their own government and their own cryptocurrency. I don't know how they're going to survive exactly. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of details that are still in the works. But they think it's going to cost like $50 million. And they think it's going to be done by 2022, which is not that far off. And the reason I bring this up is to get a conversation going, get my thoughts going as well. Would you, if you could afford this type of thing, would you want to seclude yourself on an island that floats in the ocean with 300 other households? Would you want to do this sort of thing? Could you do this? Would the escape from the modern world be worth the investment into a place like this? And could you deal with the weather that would come in? And I would, this is just me, but I would imagine that this island per se, this floating island, would be a lot like a boat where it would rock when the seas got rough or a hurricane came in. A group of people want to start this venture out. I don't know. Would you do this? I'm not opposed to secluding yourself. I'm not exactly a fan of being on a floating island per se. I think there are just way too many. I mean, and if you get a nut job on the island, some kind of psychopathic killer, there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to run to. And how do you vet the people that can be a part of this floating community? Like, it's okay if you're, starting something. I don't want to call it a commune, but even though this would be like a floating commune, but like a commune somewhere out in like the desert somewhere, or maybe in the mountains of Montana or North Dakota or wherever, somewhere secluded from the big city life and all the dangers that might come with it. I do understand that point of view. Sure, we would, a lot of us anyways, would like that kind of seclusion. A lot of other people wouldn't even consider this because of the fact that, they like the social world, and maybe, they enjoy being part of these larger communities, the diversity that's born from these big communities like New York and stuff like this. But the people that want to go on an island and live there, a floating island. See, I might think of it differently if I could buy an island somewhere too, and it's a stable island. You do your, you make sure it's not going to sink in the ocean or no volcano's going to blow up on you, like they have in Hawaii. My goodness, looks like that's going to go on forever. Let's hope not. But I could understand even a island situation where it was a actual island made of earth, and it was surrounded with water, but a floating island, to me, there's so many dangers with that, and I don't know how many ships can handle the vast weather conditions that happen in the middle of the ocean. And again, you start going into, if one of these people are psychotic, there's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to run. But again, I'm leaving it up to you, my listener. Would you want to be a homeowner? I guess you're going to call it a commune member on a floating island in the middle of the ocean. It's going to cost you a lot of money because for 300 homes split up $500 million, that's a lot of money to just be putting into a floating island. And, sure, there'll be in international waters, but the island's going to have its own government, which means it's going to have a jail too, and it's going to have its laws. And if you break the laws, then you're going to be put in jail. What do they throw you off the island if you break too many jails? Or they just throw you in the ocean? And then who gets to run the island on top of that? You're going to have a hierarchy of what are you going to have we start over with the whole political system, and you'll just start your own political. You have two parties there. You have 150 homes in one party, 150 homes in the other party. I don't know if I would be up for that. If it was an island where I could not have 500 people, but a secluded situation where I could have access to that and still be close enough to reach mainland if I needed to escape, that would be one thing. But the idea of just floating on an island created by man, which means you're going to have people on the island to, take care of maintenance, even the underwater maintenance, because when you're talking about some kind of floating apparatus, you've got to make sure I don't know for certain, but you got to make sure the water doesn't get in somehow, right? Doesn't sink it, doesn't capsize it when there's giant weather situations like hurricanes or something like that. So I thought that was very interesting that people would want to do, just be part of that. Then there's the situation with the police are now law enforcement is now trying to get laws passed so that the average person cannot listen in on the police scanners. And the only thing I can think of with that is they're worried that things like the Las Vegas shooting, and I'm not just saying in the Vegas shooting, I think they don't want anybody on the scenes filming them or recording these things because things are said between cops that they want to keep private. And if these police scanner frequencies are available to anybody and it's not illegal, a lot of things can be used against you. And that's great. It's always that way with government law enforcement. They're trying to protect themselves from the evidence being turned against them, yet they'll do the exact same thing. They'll turn evidence against people left and right just so they can convict you or get you in a plea bargain against somebody else, or turn state's evidence and or whatever. So we've got that. Another thing that is in the news this week was the 36-year-old lady who was accused of having sex with a 15-year-old boy 6 times a day. And then apparently she started selling his body out to the highest bidder so they could get drugs. And the kid apparently liked banging the lady 6 times a day. That was fun. And then when she started bringing people in, it doesn't sound like he didn't have any fun with other women. It sounds like when it got to the point where she was like, come on, have sex with men because we can make money to do this, because I guess men weren't wanting to have sex with her or something, that's when that became a problem. That's kind of what we talked about in the first hour. We're so screwed up in the country that we have these kind of things happening. And where's the 15-year-old, where's his parents, on that? One more thing before we go to break here. Now we know what will happen when the sun dies. And this is a cool article I'll make available on the website. We don't have a lot of time to get into it. But they believe it's going to turn into a nebula, a planetary nebula. And it's, according to scientists, one of the most beautiful things. I don't know how they're going to prove this will happen, because when the sun dies, we're all going to die. And I'm probably not going to be here. And you're not going to be here. And it's not really going to matter to many of us. And then, it's millions of years away or so before it runs out. I think they're thinking 5 billion years. So I like when scientists predict these things that really will not affect us. It doesn't matter. I think they just do it so they can get themselves in some kind of scientific research paper. And that's it. So we got to take a quick break, folks. I'll leave this story and the other stories available on the website. And when we return, we're going to talk the best 100 albums of all time. And in the fourth segment, we're going to get into what is next with the Avengers after Infinity War. I know it's a little different topics this evening, but that's okay, because we're in the John Lebang Show Variety Hour, and that's what we do. Now sit your butt down.
The John Lebang Show will be right back.
And I promise you'll love it. Yes. I'd like to take a quick second here to tell you about our new sponsor, Quality One Painting. For interior and exterior painting needs, call Tom at Quality One, 313-982-2986. Tom will give you free estimates, senior discounts, and I can tell you from meeting the gentleman, he's one of the nicest guys on the face of the planet. So for a quality paint job with a professional attitude, call Tom at Quality One Painting. That's 313-982-2986. 313-982-2986. Quality One Painting.
Hey, man, it's at the bottom of the hour, man. Do you know where your kids are, man?
If you want to contact the John LeBang Show, feel free to send an email to jlebang@live.com. And if you're on Twitter, look him up at John LeBang. And don't forget to go to his Facebook page at The John LeBang Show. Now here's John.
I came across this article, Best 100 Albums of All Time. The author is Stephen M. Peters, and it was put out in April, and I've been holding on to it. Most of the reason is because I haven't had a chance to talk about this. But I'm not going to rip apart his whole, which is number 75 and number 33. It's ridiculous. But I am going to make comments on some of these choices. So at number 100, and we're going to really try to get this in. We don't have a whole long segment here. But at number 100, we have Don't Shoot Me, I'm the Only Piano Player by Elton John. Not a big fan of Elton John, but, I sure understand his credit, so I'm not going to poo-poo that one. The next one is 99 AM by Arctic Monkeys. Now, I had no idea who these guys were. So I took some time to listen to these guys, and I can tell you, they're not one of the top 100. You can have Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blood Sugar Sex Magic into this place right here, and that would be just fine as far as I'm concerned. That's a better album than what these guys have produced. Next is Audio Slave, 1998. Their first, it sold 3 million copies. I like Audio Slave. I don't know if it's one of the top 100 albums, but we'll give them credit that they're giving a decent rock band some credit here. Next one is James Taylor and Sweet Baby James. That's number 97. Not a big fan. Decent music. If you like that style of music, I would probably put something a little more heavier in its place. At 96, it's Coldplay, A Rush of Blood to the Head. I'm not a fan of Coldplay. I know a lot of people love their music. I would much rather see Black Sabbath Volume 4 here, or Soundgarden, Bad Motorfinger. To me, those are better albums. At number 95, System of the Down, Toxicity. Not a fan of System of the Down. Again, I understand a lot of people like them. I think there'd be other albums more worthy of being on the list. Maybe something by Rush or The Who. At 95, they barely made the list. Janis Joplin's Pearl is at number 94. I wasn't a big fan of Janis Joplin. I didn't really particularly gravitate to her music. I could see Whitesnake's Slide It In album way better than what I would consider this Janis Joplin album. Bad Company's original album, Bad Company. Not a bad album. Lots of good songs on that one. At 93, sure, they could probably make the list. 92, Peter Gabriel's So. Tears for Fears, Songs from the Big Chair. I remember how relevant this band was at the time. I don't know if it was one of the best albums, or top 100 albums. It did sell 5 million copies. At 91, it's not a big deal to be on the top 100. At 90, Super Unknown by Soundgarden. Yes, that's a great album. After that, Alice in Chains' Dirt. Great album. One of the better albums from Alice in Chains. From front to back, great album. If you've never listened to that, pick it up, Alice in Chains' Dirt. REM, Out of Time, is at 88. Loved REM when they were big. Never liked a full album of theirs. Brother in Arms by Dire Straits. Great stuff. Not a huge fan of Dire Straits. Had a couple good songs. I probably wouldn't put it in the top 100, but that's just me. Animals by Pink Floyd at 86. Pretty good darn album. Top 100, sure. A lot of Pink Floyd should be making the top 100. U2's Unforgettable Fire. Not a huge fan of U2, but I do recognize their popularity. This album sold 3 million copies. Top 100, sure, I can live with that. 9 Inch Nails, A Downward Spiral. I remember how big 9 Inch Nails was at the time. Good album, still not a complete album from my opinion. probably would make top 100 for me. 1971's Black Sabbath Paranoid album at 83. I would rank this one much higher. Black Sabbath Paranoid would be probably in my top 50, if not in my top 25. It's a respectable number, but I think this guy's not a big heavy metal fan, and he's going to put the heavier bands lower on the list. Number 82, Prince's 1999. Great album. For a heavy rocker like myself, I loved Prince. Everything on that album was decent, if not really good. Probably his second best album overall. Sure, at 82, that's great. Number 81 is AC/DC's Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. It sold 6 million copies, but here's the issue. I don't even think this should make it top 100. I think albums like Highway to Hell should be ranked in the top 100 and not AC/DC's Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. It was brought in while right after Back in Black to carry on, to give them an album in between for those about to rock and Back in Black. It was a filler album. It was a bunch of old songs that they had brought in that were not released earlier in their history, and I don't even think it should make top 100 just for that fact. And it really only had one or two superior songs. The rest were just songs that never made albums in the U.S. because they weren't good enough to make albums. Heart's Heart album in 1985. I remember that album. It was really good. It's actually when Heart went off of their harder rock edge and they went to a more poppy style. But it worked. And sure, in the top 100, I'll take that. The Cars Candy-O, 1979. The Cars were great. In fact, through a 5 or 6 year period there, they were one of the catchier bands that was from the MTV generation. And yeah, for top 100, I'll take the Cars Candy-O. George Harrison, All Things Must Pass, 1970. I love George Harrison, love the Beatles. I don't know if I would rank this one in one of the top 100. I'm sure there are other people that would say, yes, it's a great album. A lot of good stuff on it. Not my cup of tea. Bruce Springsteen, The River, 1980. Fleetwood Mac. Love Fleetwood Mac. That was their best album they ever put out. Sure, I'll take it in the top 100. 75, 76, 70, right in there. That's perfect range for them. The Beatles, Meet the Beatles at number 75. There's going to be a lot of Beatles in the top 100 for sure. They were one of the greatest rock bands of all time. John Cougar Mellencamp's Scarecrow. I recognize how good that album was. It was catchy. There was a lot of good songs on it. Sold 5 million copies. Aerosmith's Toys in the Attic. Good album. A lot of great stuff on it. That was in their prime. That was before they had all their issues. Yeah, definitely. I might even rank that one a little higher, and I'm not even an Aerosmith fan, although Aerosmith is probably the greatest American rock band of all time. AC/DC's The Razor's Edge comes in at number 72. Good album. It was carried by Thunderstruck, and that brought it a long way. I don't know if it was actually their making the top 100. Again, I would think Highway to Hell would be up there. The album Black Ice had a better collection of songs than The Razor's Edge. Thunderstruck really, it's still played all over the place. Every sports arena in the world plays that song, so that's why that one is. Green Day's American Idiot. Not a big fan of Green Day. Understand they're popular with the younger generation. We'll take it in top 100, sure. Number 70, The Who's Quadrophenia. Great album. I might even rank it a little higher. We'll just leave it at 70. That's fine. Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life. Great album. Lots of good stuff. Probably his best album. Well, yeah, 69. I might even rank this one a little higher. Led Zeppelin 3. Not a fan of that album at all. Lots of people like that album. To me, it's got 2 good songs on it. The rest are mediocre at best. That's when they went a little more Americana. I wouldn't even put it in the top 100. I would like to see, again, Black Sabbath Volume 4, to me, is a lot better album than Led Zeppelin 3. MTV Unplugged in New York by Nirvana is at 67. I remember how popular this was at the time, and all those acoustic versions, you still hear them on the radio. Sure, that's at 67. That's a decent place for it. Chicago Transit Authority. Not a huge fan of Chicago. Understand their significance and how popular they were. Weezer. Their first album, not a big fan. Understand how popular they were. Probably wouldn't be in the top 100 albums for me. Tracy Chapman's first album probably wouldn't be in the top 100 for me. But they're giving it to it. I'd like to see, again, Whitesnake had a couple good albums there. Def Leppard had a couple good albums there. Even Metallica could be put in place of this album. Boston, Don't Look Back, great album. You can't beat Boston. Sure, that's in the top 100. Rolling Stones, Let It Bleed, 1969. That's at the height of their popularity. You can't beat the Rolling Stones. I might even rank it higher. Santana, Abraxas in 1970. Not a huge fan of Santana. Open Invitation's a cool song, and a couple other ones, but yeah, ranked a little high for me. I think this is a nostalgia guy here. Running on Empty by Jackson Browne in 1977. Lots of people like Jackson Browne. You probably don't know Jackson Browne sings a lot of the songs he sings, but yeah, I'm not a fan. Top 100. If it is, it's in the later editions, not as high as 60. Led Zeppelin, In Through the Outdoor. Again, not a fan of Zeppelin at all as far as this album's concerned. It's okay. Wouldn't have made my top 100. I would have liked to seen another Black Sabbath album in there. Black Sabbath's first album, Black Sabbath, great. There's Ronnie James Dio, man. The Holy Diver album, great album. Overlooked. He's probably not going to make the list. Some other, AC/DC's Let There Be Rock should be in the top 100 ahead of this one at least. Billy Joel's 52nd Street. Yeah, you got to include Billy Joel. He's super popular. NXX Kicks is next. Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion 2. I wasn't a big fan of that album. Had a couple good songs. It was all right. Eagles, The Long Run. Not a big fan of the Eagles. I understand their popularity. At 54, Billy Joel, The Stranger. Again, a lot of people like him. Not a fan, but I understand. Guns N' Roses, Use Your Illusion 1. I didn't like that one either. It wasn't their best albums, but they're in there. The Cars, great album. And like I said, the Cars were great through a little time period there. They were just 5 years. They were awesome. Prince and the Revolution, Purple Rain soundtrack, I would probably rank that in the top 25 albums of all time. They've got it at number 51. We got to hurry up here. Shake Your Moneymaker by the Black Crowes at 50. Foreigner, number 4 in 81. Metallica and Justice for All. Master of Puppets, to me, is a better album than this album. Rolling Stones, Some Girls, got to give them that credit there. Elton John, Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road. I'm a big fan of Elton John. If you like him, great. If you don't, well, you know. Green Day, again, Doki, not a fan. Don Henley never should have an album in the top 100, but they got him at the end of Innocence. I wouldn't put him in there. Queen, A Night at the Opera, it's a good album. Never liked a full Queen album, so we're going to just go by that. Michael Jackson's Off the Wall at 42. Anything Michael Jackson was great, so yeah, anything should be there. Stone Temple Pilots at 41, their core album. I would put this later on, probably in the 70s range, but sure, it's the top 100. Journey Escape, yeah, Journey had great albums, can't beat that. Madonna, Like a Virgin, probably top 100, but I wouldn't put it in the top 75. It would be towards the later end there, you know, and that's her best album ever. Beastie Boys, Licensed to Ill, that's top 50. What a great album that is. The Who's next. That's a good album, top 100 for sure. The Who, Tommy at 36. I didn't like that one quite as much as I liked The Who's Next, but still a good album, top 100 for sure. Boston's original album, that's top 100 for sure. Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA, his best album. Not a big fan of Bruce Springsteen, but he was popular. Def Leppard, Pyromania. Yes, they are definitely should be in the top 33. That's for sure. Huey Lewis and the New Sports, the very popular, probably top 100, but a little more in the 70 or 80s range. Rolling Stones, Sticky Fingers, somewhere in the top 50 for sure. They're at 31. Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell, I wouldn't put it in the top 100. People love this album. Not a fan of the big fat singer, whatever. Hysteria by Def Leppard, that when they went more commercial, very popular. I understand the significance. Not their best album in my eyes, but what are you going to do? Bon Jovi, Slippery When Wet. I sat out for tickets for that tour. Yes, for sure. Great album, top 100, probably in the top 75. ZZ Top Eliminator, probably in top 100 in my opinion too. Maybe more towards the back end though. Carole King, Tapestry, not a fan. We'll give it at that. Wouldn't be in my top 100. Eagles, Hotel California, that wouldn't be in my top 100, but people like it. Beach Boys, Pet Sounds, definitely not in my top 100, but people like them. Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction, they say it's at 23. I would say it's top 20, so I'd rank it a little higher. The great album, one of the best front-to-back albums there is. Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill, I don't know. We're a borderline top 100 in my opinion. Santana, Supernatural, the later stuff. It's down on the list. It's probably, after 100 for sure. Not a big fan of Santana. I recognize how good of a player he was. Pearl Jam 10's probably top 50 for sure. They got him at 20. Zeppelin, Houses of the Holy at 19. Maybe top 100 for me, probably after top 60 or 70. The Doors, great album. Again, top 100, more on the 60 to 70 range, probably in that ring. Metallica's Metallica album, that had Enter Sandman and all that. Great album. That would be ranked lower, and Master of Puppets would be ranked higher, in my opinion. And Injustice for All would be ranked way later. Led Zeppelin, Physical Graffiti. Everybody likes this album. It's just so long, and I don't know how great of an album it is. There's Kashmir and then a bunch of other stuff on there. Maybe in the top 100, but not in the top 20 for sure. AC/DC, Back in Black. I would rank this a top 10 album, maybe top 5 album. They got them at number 15. 22 million copies sold. 22 million copies sold from a bunch of Australian ugly men. That shows how talented that band was. At number 14, Nirvana, Nevermind. That would be ranked lower than Back in Black, but not much. That's a top 10 album as well. Probably around number 6, 7, or 8. Again, no Chili Peppers in this thing, and I think Blood Sugar Sex Magic should be ranked ahead of a lot of this stuff here. The Beatles, Rubber Soul at 13. Sure, we're going to give the Beatles top something. Pink Floyd, The Wall is in the top 5, and they got them ranked at 12. Led Zeppelin 2, don't like that album a whole lot. I would put that, if it makes top 100s at the tail end, definitely not top 10 album. Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here, top 20 album for sure, great album. Fleetwood Mac, Rumors, top 50 album in my book, not ranked 8. Michael Jackson, Thriller, definitely one of the best albums of all time. Number 6, Beatles, Revolver, and whatever. The Beatles are great. Love the album. Top 40 for me, probably. Not ranked at number 6. The Beatles' White Album. I didn't like this one as much as the Revolver. I think that one would be top 100, but definitely not ranked number 5 in my book. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Come Bland, another Beatles. You can see this guy has some nostalgia to him. Again, maybe top 100 for me, but definitely not number 4. Number 3, Led Zeppelin 4. Great Led Zeppelin album. The best one they put out. This one's probably top 15, maybe top 20 at best. Notice we haven't had any Van Halen on here either. Van Halen 1984 was a pretty darn good album, and I would have put this somewhere towards the end of the top 100. Abbey Road by the Beatles at number 2. Great album. That's probably top 10 for me. It's just what a fabulous album. And Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, you can't beat that. Definitely top 10, top 12 album. It sold 15 million. Not as much as AC/DC with the 22 million, but it was on the charts for like forever. I think it's like 937 weeks it was on the Billboard charts. Incredible. We got to take a quick break, folks. We went long. We'll have a short segment talking about Infinity War right after this. Smoke them if you got them.
Because the John Lebang Show will be right back
After this.
That's guaranteed. Yes.
Pane in the Glass, commercial and residential window cleaning. For a beautiful, sparkling shine that's crystal clear, call Pane in the Glass Window Cleaning. You can find them on Facebook at Pane in the Glass. Quality One Painting. For interior and exterior painting needs, call Tom at Quality One, 313-982-2986. Tom will give you free estimates, senior discounts, and I can tell you from meeting the gentleman, he's one of the nicest guys on the face of the planet. So for a quality paint job with a professional attitude, call Tom at Quality One Painting. That's 313-982-2986. 313-982-2986. Quality One Painting.
You're listening to the John Lebang Show.
Join the radio revolution right here.
It's better than some good Thai stick, man.
Yes, I would like some too. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As we're going to give you a short segment, we went really long in that top 100 albums. It just went crazy with it. I'm sorry about that. Hopefully it was interesting. Maybe you caught on to a couple albums you haven't heard of before, and maybe you'll give it a listen because somebody thinks some albums are worthy of top 100 status. So I've been thinking about things after the Infinity War movie experience. I went a couple times now, and trying to wonder how they're going to get everybody back. And I'm just, they got a Spider-Man movie coming up, but Peter Parker's gone. And then they've got such a successful franchise with Black Panther. You would think they wouldn't want to just get rid of the guy, or get rid of the character, I should say. So I've been theory crafting over the past week or so on what's going to happen in Avengers 4. How are they going to restore things, or how are they going to defeat Thanos, or what is the storyline involving? How do you get these characters that were blown away in dust? How do you get them back? So I'm thinking maybe they're going to get the gauntlet, but I don't know if that's possible. How are you going to get the gauntlet away from Thanos? He's already shown that he can beat everybody fairly easy without trying. The only one that gave him any difficulty was Thor when he stabbed that axe through his chest, right in the heart too. Unless Thanos' heart is somewhere else, because you never know with these aliens where their heart is, if they had a heart. So I was thinking that maybe they're going to find a way to restore reality. Because I keep thinking you can't just reverse time in the whole universe, because I think that would be what we saw in the movie is that the time stone works wherever the holder of the time stone is at. It works in that location. And Thanos didn't erase the people from time because nobody would have remembered that those people faded away. If that was the case, there would be no memory of them. So he didn't erase these people from time. So going back in time using the time stone doesn't seem like it's going to work with the scenario. I think it's going to have something to do with reality. Unless they decide to go back in time before all these events happen and try to gather the stones for themselves. If you go back to the first Avenger movie, you have 2 stones on Earth with Loki's staff and the Tesseract. So they already had 2. Plus, they know in the future that Doctor Strange is going to acquire the Time Stone, because the order that Strange is a part of are the holders of the Time Stone. So that really puts 3 stones in their hands. So that would mean they would only have to collect the 3 more. They're already there. So maybe they're going to go back in time to collect the stones, not to change the past through time travel, but to reset everything through. Don't let it get to the point where Thanos can change everything. That might be one scenario. But the other is they get the reality stone and they reset reality, bringing everybody back. But does that mean the people who are dead, like Gamora and Loki and Heimdall, Does that mean they come back? And I don't think so. I think if they do use the time stone or change reality back to normal, it's going to happen from the point before the snapping, or right before the snapping on. That's what it's going to change. Those people will just be restored. I could be wrong. You know, we're theory crafting here. Well, we have a few minutes left in the show. Another situation is they just let those characters not come back. And they pass the torch on to Miles Morales, who is a Spider-Man character in the comic books. They establish Miles Morales, so maybe there's a possibility that we're going to see Miles Morales take on the mantle of Spider-Man in the next Spider-Man movie, because we know there's a Spider-Man movie. As far as the Black Panther is concerned, it's very possible that they're going to pass it on to Shuri if they don't want to bring T'Challa back. Shuri was the Black Panther in the comic books. I should have a spoiler alert here. I'm sorry if I am ruining anything, but it's about a month now. If you haven't seen Infinity War, that's your bad. You know, don't wait on me to not talk about it, because there's a lot of cool things that could happen in the next movie. And we're in the variety hour. So we're going to talk about other things besides what's in the news. So it's possible that in the Black Panther movie, Shuri takes on the mantle of Black Panther. In the Spider-Man movie, Miles Morales somehow takes on the mantle of Spider-Man. I'm not sure what they're going to do about the Doctor Strange situation. He is so important to the Avengers going forward, especially if they are to somehow acquire all the Infinity Stones in the past. That would lead into a Illuminati movie. And if you're not familiar with that, in the comic books, there's a hidden group called the Illuminati, and that was Black Panther, that was Doctor Strange, Mr. Fantastic, Captain America, Iron Man, a couple other characters that you may not know. But these characters, they did things behind the scenes, and they each, if I'm not mistaken, had a Infinity Stone at one time or another. Like, they each held one. And maybe that's where they're headed with the MCU. Because I don't know, I'm not one of the ones that believes they're brave enough to kill off Cap or Iron Man. Maybe they will, and that'll be a sad day if they do. But I think, I mean, they're money makers. Captain America, Chris Evans you can't replace him. You just find a way to pay the guy. And if you don't want to do another Captain America movie, which Secret Wars would be just the best Captain America movie, that's where Captain America becomes Hydra. And I'm not going to ruin it from there, but he becomes the bad guy. And they've reintroduced the Red Skull into the Marvel Universe again. So that would be incredible if that storyline took place. As far as Iron Man, I think Robert Downey Jr. is fine being the second actor in any movie. He's fine with that. And maybe you don't have to. You really do not have to have another Iron Man movie. You can have him in a future Spider-Man movie, or maybe a Captain Marvel movie in the future. Because there is room there for Civil War II, which happened in the comic books. And it was pretty much between Iron Man and Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel. And they're introducing her. And what's her role going to be in Infinity War? And we know we got the Ant-Man movie. I'm wondering if at the end of that movie it ties in with Infinity War and like half of Lang's family or all of his family disappears. His daughter. You know, there's a lot going to happen in these next 3 movies for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it's quite intriguing. I'd like to talk more about it, but guess what? We're up against it this week. We've blown through 2 hours. That's what happens when we take a short break and give you a special, and then we come back. We've got a lot to talk about, and we can't all fit it in. So we're going to have to fit it in and more next week. So don't forget to tune into that. I'd like to thank all of my affiliate stations for supporting the John Lebang Show. Please go to our website. That's www.jlebang.com. and check out what we have to offer there. Lots of cool things going on there. You'll always be updated on what's happening with us, what shows you might have missed. You can tune into those, get the archives, maybe join in a game, or become one of our future contestants on one of our game shows. And with that being said, I'd like to thank you, the listener. And until the vibrations of my vocal cords reach your ears again, this is John Lebang, signing off from the Banger Studios. See you next week.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff. Tune in again next week. Same time, same space, same station.
Resistance